Hi, my name is Marion Lay and I'm the president of Think Sport Limited. Most of my work has been in women in sport, and we're here at the sport campus for British Columbia with, as you can see, Promotion Plus, and it's the BC Organization for Girls and Women in Sport, and they are part of this campaign and they're helping lead this campaign to try to get women ski jumping into the 2010 Games. Right now, women's ski jumping has been told by the International Olympic Committee that they do not qualify because of the lack of technical merit in the Games. And the arguments seem to be around the number of athletes and countries. However, if you look at women's ski jumping and you look at women's snowboard cross, which is in the 2010 Olympic Games, we see that women's ski jumping has more continents, more participants at the elite level, and they have been around since 1924. What's happened before is the World International Ski Federation, which they call FIS, F-I-S, they took a vote and they represent all of the skiing events. So they represent biathlon, cross-country skiing, all the alpine events, and they represent jumping. And what they said is in their vote on their assembly, out of 115 votes, 114 said yes, include women in ski jumping. One, who was the president of FIS, said no, he voted against it. That vote went to the IOC with 114 for, 1 against, and the IOC determined, and they honestly believe that this event, women's ski jumping, does not qualify under their standards.
There's a network of requirements for sports in terms of the level of sophistication, range of expertise and nationality that competitors have that determines whether or not a sport is ready for Olympic inclusion. The women's ski jumping is very similar and very close to the level achieved by other sports that have been taken in for both men and women into the Olympics. They just had their first World Cup. Men's ski jumping, I believe, was introduced after it had had only one World Cup competition. So looking at the characteristics of women's ski jumpers, they look a lot like the field in other sports that have been led into the Olympics. So that's not a clear answer as to why they're not into the Olympics. I think a more sophisticated and probably more accurate answer would look at some of the sociology around women in this particular sport.
It's interesting the arguments that you have against women in jumping. So they said technical merit was one of the things, but if you look at the numbers of women internationally, over 135, they say, are at the top levels. There's more than 13 countries involved. So there are a number of things that say technically the women are ready. One of the things that's been interesting from the president of the World International Ski Association, FIS, he has said he worries about the medical ramifications of women. Will jumping hurt women physically?
I think that it is important to note that women are particularly good at this sport, and in fact, on the very run up at Whistler that's being used for the Olympics competition and what's called the normal hill, the best jump so far on it has been done by a woman roughly a year ago. The same woman, incidentally, who just in, I think, the women's ski jumping first World Cup competition won that. So this is a sport that women typically do as well as and often better than men. And so this is an obvious sport in terms of ability for it to be open to both men and women at the same level.
Well, for sure. You know, we've tried and we're ready for these Olympics, and it's in Canada, and I want to represent my country. And, you know, all these girls have dedicated their lives to ski jumping, and, you know, it should be equal, and we deserve to be in these Olympics.
I'm not nervous at all. We're not asking for anything outrageous. This is simply a human right. Like, this is our right as Canadians to be able to jump there if we have the ability and skill to.
It's really hard training so hard to be an elite athlete, but at the same time working on the whole other aspect, which is joining a lawsuit to get into the Olympics. I mean, not many athletes have to deal with that.
It looks like it's really stereotypes about women in the sport that are keeping the sport out of the Olympics. There's some question about the sort of developmental level of the sports, but now that it's had its first World Cup, it's almost in exactly the same place. In fact, arguably in a stronger place than men's ski jumping was when men's ski jumping was admitted.
I really just hope that the next generation of girls doesn't have to go through what we went through, and I've just I've dealt with this my whole life, and it's just my goal to see women compete in the Olympics.
If not now, when would they come in, and why can they not come in and make these games a celebration for women in sport and a celebration for the IOC and World Skiing, saying these are going to be the first Olympics to have equality in the history of Winter Olympics. So I would be very proud if we could make that happen. So please, just let the women jump.